Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to Daily News and Analysis for 16th of December 2025. So today we are going to discuss these topics. Former IAS Kumar Goyal, Kumar Goyal, shown as the new CIC, Chief Information Commissioner. Government changes NREG Act, states to pay more, pause for farm work. Third topic is SIR process is based on constitutional framework, center in parliament. Fourth point is Shanti bill to allow private players to make and run nuclear power plants. And the fifth and the last topic would be trade deficit falls to 6.6 billion in November. Okay. Before we start into the topics, I want you guys to look into this quote. The whole point of getting things done is knowing what to leave undone. This quote is very important in your preparation because you have to select what you have to study and what you have to leave. Okay, so while studying, always keep in mind that you should know what not to study or what to leave. So we'll start with today's topic. The first topic, former IAS Kumar Goyal, shown as the new CSE. After 9 years, the Central Information Commission is in its full strength. Okay, and ex-IAS Kumar Goyal took oath as new Chief Information Commissioner. Okay. Former IAS Mr. Kumar Goyal was appointed as the Chief Information Commissioner along with 8 new Information Commissioners. 2 are already there in, 2 are already working, and 8 new Information Commissioners were appointed by the President. Okay. Okay. So in this topic, the most important part we have to read about for prelims would be the Central Information Commission, the appointment of Central Chief Information Commissioners and other Information Commissioners. Okay. So Section 12, subsection 3 of RTI Act 2005 provides that the Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of a committee consisting of these 3 members. Okay. The committee consists of the Prime Minister, who is the chairman of the committee, the leader of opposition on Lok Sabha, and a union cabinet minister to be appointed or to be nominated by the President. So Central Information Commission is a 11-member body. 1 Chief Information Commissioner and 10 Information Commissioners. Okay, and these are appointed by the President on the recommendation of a committee we just discussed. Now we'll discuss the terms and other conditions. Okay, the term of CIC, Chief Information Commissioner, shall be 3 years. Very, very important point. Before the 2019 Amendment Act, this was 5 years. But now this has been reduced to 3 years because central government has gotten the power to decide the terms and other conditions of the office of Chief Information Commissioner and other Information Commissioners. And he shall not be eligible for reappointment. Okay. Once he finishes his term, he is not eligible for reappointment. Very important point. Second, no Chief Information Commissioner or Information Commissioner shall hold office after he has attained the age of 65 years. Okay. So this is the upper age limit for information as well as Chief Information Commissioner. Okay. The Information Commissioner shall not be eligible for reappointment as such Information Commissioner. That means he might be reappointed as Chief Information Commissioner, but he shall not be eligible to be reappointed as Information Commissioner again. Okay. If the Information Commissioner is reappointed as the Chief Information Commissioner, as we discussed, he can be reappointed as Chief Information Commissioner, not as Information Commissioner. Okay. The term of office shall not be more than 5 years in aggregate as the Information Commissioner and the Chief Information Commissioner. For example, there is an Information Commissioner who held that office for period of 3 years, let's suppose. Okay. Now he is appointed as CIC or Chief Information Commissioner. So now his term, both term added, cannot exceed 5 years. So his term as Chief Information Commissioner would be reduced to 2 years. Okay. So the total term as Information Commissioner and as Chief Information Commissioner shall not be more than 5 years. Okay. So this is all about the term of CIC and other ICs. The CIC and ICs shall not be MPs or MLAs or hold any other office of profit. These are disqualifications, or these are the offices they cannot hold, and they should not be connected with any political party. They should not be connected with any political party or carry on any business or pursue any profession. Okay. The oath to CIC and ICs is administered by the President. We just saw President Draupadi Murmu administering oath to all new ICs and CIC or any other person so nominated by her. Okay. The salaries, allowances and terms of condition of the CIC shall be prescribed by the central government. This is a point where many students might get confused, the terms and conditions, because in the previous act it was equivalent to judge of a high court, but now it is different. It is decided by the central government. Removal process. Okay, this is also an important point. The Chief Information Commissioner or any Information Commissioner shall be removed from his office only by the order of the President. Only by an presidential order on the grounds are also mentioned, of proved misbehavior or incapacity. On the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity, and that too after the Supreme Court, on reference made to it by the President, has on inquiry reported that such Chief Information Commissioner or any Information Commissioner, as the case may be, ought on such ground be removed. Okay, so I'll explain this. Any IC or CIC can be removed through a presidential order only when the President makes a reference to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court upon inquiry tells the President that yes, on such grounds the CIC or IC should be removed. Okay, So the President makes a reference to the Supreme Court, which follows an inquiry, and then post that inquiry gives its recommendation to the President for removal of such IC or CIC. Okay. And there is another way. The President may by order remove from office the CIC or IC if he or she is an insolvent or convicted for a offence which involves moral turpitude, okay, engages in any paid employment outside the duties of his office, in the opinion of the President, unfit to continue in office due to infirmity of mind or body, and has acquired such financial or other interests that are likely to affect prejudicially his function as CIC or IC. In this case, no reference has to be made to the Supreme Court. This President may by order himself remove. There is no need for any such reference to be made to the Supreme Court. While in the previous case, when he was to be removed on the grounds of misbehavior or incapacity, there a reference was to be made to the Supreme Court. So there are two ways through which CIC or IC can be removed from the office. Okay. So now, whatever we have read, I want you guys to solve this PYQ. This was recently asked in a non-CSC paper by UPSC. Okay. So the CIC and other ICs are appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of a committee headed by the Chief Justice of India. No, the committee is headed by Prime Minister. Okay, we just read. Second, while the Chief Information Commissioner is not eligible for reappointment after the completion of term of 5 years, other ICs are eligible for reappointment. The term is not 5 years, it's 3 years. So neither 1 is correct nor 2 is correct. Answer is D. Okay. We move on to the next topic. Government changes National Rural Employment Government changes National Rural Employment Guarantee states to pay pause for farm work. Okay. So government has introduced a new bill called Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Gramin Bill. This bill has been introduced to replace Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. Okay. So this is the news. Union has distributed the copy of Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Gramin Bill with the Member of Parliaments for initial review. Okay. Now this is a very significant bill because it goes on to change something which is backbone of India's rural economy. So we'll discuss the important points or important pointers in this bill. The proposed bill provides for replacement of NREG Act 2005 or MG NREG Act, Mahatma Gandhi NREG Act. The bill seeks to increase the number of days for which work can be demanded by the rural household in an year to 125 from current 100. Currently under the NREG Act, 100 years of guaranteed unpaid, unskilled manual work is guaranteed. Now the government is set to increase this to 125. Now one of the major changes this bill introduces in the fund sharing pattern under the scheme. Okay. Now, before we see what has changed, we will see what was the previous arrangement. Okay. Under the NREG, the union government pays complete wage bill for unskilled manual labor. The wage bill component of the act of the scheme is borne by central government. Along with this, central governments also takes care of 3/4 of the material cost of the scheme. Whatever material, whatever things we are using under the scheme, 3/4 of the cost is taken care by the central government. Along with this, any such percent of the administrative costs as determined by the central government. Okay. Now, this is the central government portion. Now, what does the state government contribute? The state governments contribute the cost of unemployment allowance under the MG-NREGA Act. Along with this, 1/4 of the total material cost. 3/4 is taken care by central government, 1/4 is taken care by state government. Administrative expenses of the state council. Okay. Now, what has changed? The change is this. Now, the states will contribute 40% of the total cost and the center will contribute 60% of the total cost. Now, the fiscal burden of the states will increase and the center will reduce. Okay. So, the 90% is 60% is taken care by the center and 40% is taken care by the states. This will be for all states and UTs with legislatures, and for Himalayan and northeastern states and union territories, 90% will be by center and 10% by states. And for UTs without legislatures like Ladakh, Andaman, Nicobar, Daman and Diu and Lakshadweep, 100% by the center. Okay. So, this has changed. Earlier it was majorly contribution from the central government, but now this has changed to 60-40 ratio. Okay. Another important change which has come or which has been proposed by the bill is the normative allocation process. So, this is a very important change which has been brought under the bill, and we will discuss this process. Under this approach, under the new normative allocation formula, the method of allocation has been changed from bottom to top, from this to completely top down approach. Now, what is this top down approach? The center shall determine state-wise normative allocation for each financial year on the objective parameters as prescribed by the central government. So, the central government will allocate funds to the state governments on objective parameters that will be prescribed by the central government. Okay. The central government will not only set the budget, not only decide how much money has to be allocated, it will also decide where it will be spent. So, this approach, this whole approach of allocation under the scheme has become top down now. The section 4 of the act or of the bill empowers the union to notify what are the rural areas in the state. Okay. So, what are the rural areas in the states? Along with this, any expenditure incurred by the state in excess of normative allocation shall be borne by the state in such manner as prescribed by the central government. Let us suppose central government allocates ₹100 to a particular state A. Okay. Now, state A decides to spend ₹40 more on the scheme. this 40 rupees shall be borne completely by the state and in manner prescribed by the central government. So the central government will have total hold on the allocation under the scheme. Now, how is it different from the previous Manrega scheme? Under the previous scheme, there was a bottom-up approach. How? The state governments used to present or submit their annual work plan and labor budget to the Ministry of Labor under the central government. Based on this, the central government used to allocate funds, and these plans were based on anticipated demand for unskilled manual work. Whatever demand might come in the upcoming year, this was the standard which state governments used to decide their annual budget, and it was submitted to the central government. On the basis of this, the central government used to do allocation. Now this has completely reversed. Now the central government will decide how much fund is to be allocated to each state. Okay. Now with this, how much things change on ground? In 2024-2025, the total expenditure of the scheme was 1.04 lakh crore, out of which wages accounted for 74 lakh crores and 26 lakh crore was material and administrative cost. Okay. So you can see that 74 lakh crore, the wage bill, was completely borne by the center, and this this material cost 26 lakh crore was distributed among states and center in the ratio 3 ratio of 1, or 3 by 4th and 1 by 4th, 3 by 4 by the center and 1/4 by the state. Now this will be completely reversed because the proposed bill, it will increase the total expenditure. As the number of days has been increased from 100 to 125, the total expenditure will increase, out of which 96 lakh crores would be borne by the center, that is roughly around 65%, and 55 crore would be borne by the states. Okay. One very important point about this scheme is provision for pausing employment guarantee. Now the bill introduces a provision where you can pause this employment guarantee program for 60 days in a financial year, and that too in sowing and harvesting season, the peak sowing and harvesting seasons. And who will decide? The state shall notify which are these 60 days according to their agroclimatic zones or agricultural patterns. For example, let's suppose this is a state B. Harvesting season is April to June, March to April, and sowing season is October to November. Now the states will decide which 60 days the demand for agriculture labor is the highest, because this is to ensure that agriculture labor is available. So state will decide which 60 days you have to pause this particular program so as to ensure that agricultural labor is present on ground. Okay. Now the implementation of the work shall originate from Viksit Gram Panchayat plans consolidated at village, district and state level. So there will be Panchayat plans at village, district, state level consolidated, and then further aggregated into a national rural infrastructure stack. Okay. So you can see the implementation of program will be based on village to state level. but the fund allocation will be from center to states. Okay. This stack we discussed shall encompass 4 focus areas. What are these 4 focus areas? Water security, core rural infrastructure, livelihood related infrastructure, and work for mitigation of extreme weather conditions. Okay. So these are the focus area where MNREGA scheme or the new revamped MNREGA scheme, as we can say, will be focusing on. Okay. Now the bill also proposes for issuance of Gramin Rozgar guarantee cards for every household willing for unskilled labor work. Along with these Gramin Rozgar guarantee cards, there will be distinct special cards for adult single women, PWD above 60 years of age, released bonded labor and PVTG members. Very important, PVTG members. Okay. Now, with all these changes, the states are showing their contentions. What is the major contention? That our fiscal burden will increase, because states will have to contribute almost 40% of the total expenditure. Now this fiscal burden will increase, and center has more powers over allocation as well as deciding what projects to implement. So states are facing a challenge of fiscal independence. Fiscal independence. And which are the states who will be hit or challenged the most? These are the states where the demand for agricultural labor is the highest, which includes Tamil Nadu to West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So these are the major changes this bill has introduced. Now based on whatever we have read, we will try to solve this PYQ. Among the following, who are eligible to benefit from Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Guarantee Act? Okay. Adult members of only scheduled caste and scheduled tribe? No. Adult member of BPL? Yes, but not just these. Other members of also adult member of household of backward committee? Yes, but not only these. Other members also. Adult member of any household? Yes. So adult member of any household which is willing to do unskilled labor work will be benefited from MNREGA scheme and the new scheme. With this topic ends. Now we'll move on to our next topic. SIR process is based on constitutional framework center. Okay. SIR process is based on constitutional framework. The center, the Union Minister Arjunram Vekwal stated that the special intensive revision of electoral rolls happening in our country is completely constitutional and is guided by the principle of universal adult franchisee. Okay. Now, in this, the important part is the legal framework, because we are saying this it is totally constitutional, it is totally under the purview of law. So we'll discuss the legal provisions of SIR, under which provisions SIR is being conducted. Okay. So what is SIR? According to Election Commission of India, SIR is nothing but a revision of electoral rolls. Okay. So to maintain the integrity of electoral roll, the commission orders revision of electoral roll before every election or as per the requirement, and this revision at this point of time is being known as SIR, special intensive revision. Why is it being done? Because there are many changes which have occurred in electoral roll due to frequent migration, death and other reasons. So we have to get these issues resolved and these errors corrected. So the electoral roll is being changed due to result of migration, which has led to electors getting registered in more than one places and non-removal of dead voters. So, Election Commission announced special intensive revision with the objective that no eligible citizen is left out or no ineligible person is included. Okay. Now, what is the legal framework around SIR? Okay. Article 324, as we all know, provides ECI with ultimate authority for superintendent's direction and control over all elections to parliament, state legislature and office of president and vice president. So, this all powers of electoral roll revision comes from Article 324, which establishes Election Commission of India as the ultimate authority for superintendent's direction and control of elections. Okay. Now, this power is not unfettered. This power is very wide but not unfettered. This power is used under the provisions of Constitution, within the limits of the provision of the Constitution, plus the statutes so implemented or so passed by the Parliament, like Representation of People's Act. Along with this, Article 326, as we saw in the article, the right to universal adult franchise, that every adult citizens, every 18 plus citizens of India, citizen of India, shall be entitled to be registered as a voter in India electoral rolls. So, he has the right for his name to be registered in the electoral rolls of the constituency he belongs to. Okay. Now, these are the constitutional provisions which decides over SIR and ECI's power for intensive revision. Now, what are the statutory provisions? The most important statutory provision is Section 21 of the Representation of People's Act. This Section 21 is about electoral rolls, is about establishment, preparation, everything of electoral roll. And this section provides for 4 types of revisions in electoral rolls. Okay. Now, we will discuss what are these 4 types of revision and what are the sections under which these revisions are done. First revision is before the election of Lok Sabha or Assembly. Before every election of Lok Sabha or every Assembly election, there is a revision of electoral rolls. Okay. Before each by-election, even a small by-election is there is revision done in electoral rolls. On the direction of ECI in any year. Okay. ECI can direct in any year that we want a revision or change in electoral rolls. And the fourth is a special revision for a constituency or part of constituency with the recorded reason under Section 21(3). Okay. So, Section 21(2)(a), 2(b) and 21(3). These talk about revisions. Okay. 21(2)(a) has 2 types of revisions. That is, one is before the election of Lok Sabha or Assembly, or before the election before any by-election. 21(2)(b) is revision of electoral rolls on the direction of Election Commission of India. This is 21(2)(b). And third is 21 subsection 3, which talks about a special revision for a particular constituency. Okay. Now, if you look closely, you will understand that these 2 revisions, the one under 21(2)(a), are done just before the election. So, these are usually summary revisions. This revision on the direction of ECI in any year, there is no time limit or there is no limit associated with it. So, this 21(2)(b), this is done on the direction of ECI. So this revision is almost at all times intensive or partially intensive. Okay. So this revision of electoral rolls is intensive or partially intensive, while the revision done before by-election or election is usually a summary revision. Okay. And along with this, there is a special revision which is for a particular constituency or a part of that constituency. Okay. Now, these three, section 21(2), the revisions under section 21(2), not the special one, but section 21(2) are done in reference of a qualifying date. That means we'll have to decide whether a person is elector or whether a person is eligible to be included in electoral rolls or not based on his status on that particular qualifying date. And usually that qualifying date as provided in the Act is 1st of January. So these three revisions are done in reference with the qualifying date. This we already discussed, that revisions under 21(2)(a) are usually summary revisions done before the elections, but the revision under 21(2)(b), that is done on the directions of ECI, is often seen as an intensive revision. Intensive revision is as good as preparation of a new roll, whatever is happening right now. So this SIR is conducted under the provision of section 21(2)(b), which provides an intensive revision on the directions of ECI as decided by ECI in any time of the year. Okay. So this special intensive revision is done under the provisions of section 21(2)(b). Okay. Now we discussed that there was a reference date. There is a qualifying reference date. For Bihar SIR, the qualifying reference date was 1st July 2025 as decided by the ECI. Now along with this, Rule 25 of the Registration of Electoral Rolls, Elector Rules 1960 also discusses about the revision of electoral rolls, and it provides, it says summary intensive or partially intensive revision. So you can see that it does not connect any of the revision to any of the provisions, but if we read these provisions very carefully, we'll see the ones before election is usually summary. The ones done on the direction of ECI in any time of the year is intensive or partially intensive revisions. Okay. Rule 25 of the Registration of Elector Rules 1960. Now we read there is an intensive revision, we read there is a special revision in a constituency, and we read there is a summary revision. In no act or no rule special intensive revision is written anywhere. This is just the form of intensive revision which is being done by the ECI under the provisions of section 21(2)(b). Okay. Now there are certain issues which SIR is facing. What are those issues? The issues around SIR are: first, genuine voters may be wrongly deleted due to non-availability of documents. ECI has issued a list of documents which you have to provide for your name to be registered under the electoral rolls, but there are certain individuals which do not possess those documents, and there is a chance that those names would be wrongly deleted from the SIR, from the electoral roll. Okay. Non-inclusion of Aadhaar as it is not a proof of domicile or citizenship. While deciding the list of documents, ECI deliberately removed Aadhaar because it says that universal adult franchisee is only for citizens of India, and Aadhaar is not a proof of domicile or citizenship. But here comes the contention by many scholars and many individuals that to decide upon citizenship is not the role of Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India cannot decide whether a person is a citizen or not. This power is only available with Ministry of Home Affairs. So, this removing Aadhaar on the basis of it not being a proof of domicile or citizenship was another point of contention. Issue of reference date. I just told you that there is a reference date, there is a qualifying reference date where summary revision before elections and intensive revision on the directions of ECI is done with reference to a qualifying date. Okay, that qualifying date under the act is given as 1st of January. But if you see closely, SIR's qualifying date has been kept as 017-2025, which according to many individuals does not come under the purview of ECI and is a violation of RPA Act 1950. So this is one of the major issues. Now, timing. Many people are saying that intensive revision cannot be done or should not be done before elections. Before elections, there should be a summary revision as provided under the section 21(2)(a). Okay, but if you look into the statute states that intensive revision or the revision on the directions of ECI can be done at any time. So at any point of time, ECI can call for a intensive revision and give directions for that particular revision to happen. So this timing also has become a point of contention amongst various individuals and various civil society bodies. Okay. For last point, lack of public awareness about their names being deleted and a limited time to apply for correction. Many people, many illiterate people across villages, across country won't even recognize or won't even know that their name has been deleted, and that is lack of awareness about this SIR process. And even if they know, they have a very limited truncated time to apply for corrections, which becomes a haphazard or a troublesome process for the citizens. Okay, so these are the major concerns around special intensive revision. Okay, with this we end this topic. Now, based on this, we'll try to solve this PYQ. Okay, the Election Commission of India is a 5-membered body. No, it's not a 5-membered body. It's a 3-membered body with CEC and 2 election commissioners. Okay, the Union Minister of Home Affairs decides the election schedule. No, it is the purview of ECI to decide the schedule of elections as well as by-election. Election Commission resolves the dispute related to splits and mergers. This is very true, as we saw in the case of LJP and Shiv Sena. Okay, so first is incorrect, second is incorrect, third is correct. Answer is D, 3 only. With this, we move on to our next topic. Shanti Bill, a wonderful acronym for for inviting private people or for allowing private people into civil nuclear power project. So the center in Lok Sabha introduced the Shanti Bill. Okay, what is the full form of Shanti? Sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India Bill 2025. This is a very important and a watershed bill because it allows private players into a sector which was hitherto restricted for only government. So a restricted sector is being opened up for private bodies. The Union government introduced Shanti, Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energies for Transforming India Bill, allowing private participation into India's nuclear power sector. Now, we will discuss the important provisions of this bill. Okay, the bill replaces the Atomic Energy Act 1962 and the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. It abolishes, it repeals the act and replaces these two old acts. Okay. Now, this is the most important provision of the act. The bill allows any government company, private company, a joint venture, or any other person approved by the central government to establish, operate, build, own, or decommission a nuclear power plant. So, effectively opening up the nuclear, civil nuclear power sector for everyone. Okay? The bill allows for import, export, acquisition or possession of nuclear fuel, any substance or technology required for implementation, development, production or any part of the nuclear project. But this import, export, acquisition, possession shall be done in approval with central government and Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. That board we'll discuss in the upcoming slides. Okay. Since this bill is replacing the civil liability for Nuclear Damages Act, the bill elaborates that such an operator who is operating the civil nuclear plant shall be liable for damages, nuclear damages, except caused by grave natural disaster, exceptional character or disaster of a exceptional character, act of armed conflict, hostility, civil war or insurrection or terrorism. All the operator shall be liable for all damages except in these conditions which are not in his control. Okay. The maximum amount of liability in respect of each nuclear incident shall be equivalent to 300 million special drawing rights, SDRs. Except Forex reserve, we hardly see these SDRs coming anywhere in our acts or in our polity, but here the maximum liability has been kept as 300 SDR, million SDRs. Okay. Now, this liabilities also are graded on the basis of nuclear installation. For example, if there is a large nuclear reactor over 3000 megawatts, then liability is around 3000 crores. If for 1500 megawatts to 3000 megawatts, it is capped as 1500 crores. And similarly for 750 crores, below 750, 300 crores, and for small it's 100 crores. Okay. As we discussed, the bill also establishes Atomic Energy Regulatory Board and makes its authorization mandatory for manufacture, possession, use, transport, import, export, disposal of radioactive substance, as well as establishing, operating or decommissioning any radiation facility. Okay. The board shall submit its annual reports to central government, which shall cause them to be laid before the parliament. So, there is a parliamentary oversight also, and this is a similar provision as we see in Central Information Commission also, because there also reports are submitted to the central government, which cause them to be laid before the parliament. Okay. Along with the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, the bill also provides for creation of Atomic Redressal Advisory Council, Claims Commissioner, Nuclear Damage Claims Commissioner for cases involving damage. This is self-explanatory. And the Appellate Tribunal for Electricity as Appellate Authority. This was a question in PYQ where this appellate authority was asked in terms of Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. Okay. Okay. That which is the body which acts as an appellate authority against the decisions of Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, and the body is Appellate Tribunal for Electricity. And similarly in this also, this is the Appellate Tribunal. Okay. Now, why was this Shanti bill introduced? What was the need of introducing this Shanti bill. Okay. To improve the overall share of nuclear civil power sector from current 3% of total electricity. Out of total electricity produced, only a feeble 3% is produced through nuclear power plants. So, we want to promote private investment into civil nuclear sector so that this can be improved. To scale up the installed nuclear power to 100 gigawatts from current 8.8, we have just 8.8 gigawatt out of 100 current 8.8 gigawatt as nuclear capacity. Now we have to increase or scale up this nuclear power to 100 gigawatts to move towards net zero by 2070. One of the major goal under Panchamrit. I want you guys to go and revise Panchamrit also, Panchamrit goals also. So, one of the goals is net zero by 2070. Okay. To complement the recently inaugurated 20,000 crore scheme for development of small modular reactors. We have seen in the budget our finance minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman announced that there will be a 20,000 crore scheme for development of small modular reactors. This act will be complementing this particular scheme if passed. Okay. With this, we have read the important provisions of the act. Now we move on to our next topic. So we move on to our last topic. Trade deficit falls to 6.6 billion in November due to merchandise export growth. Okay. This article is discussed in page number 1 in the Hindu. Okay. India's trade deficit plummeted by more than 61% in November to 6.6 billion due to strong growth in merchandise exports and fall in merchandise imports. Okay. Now, our total trade deficit has fallen to 6.6 billion. And what are the reasons for it? Because the merchandise export, the exports in goods have increased and the merchandise imports have fallen. So, the major reason of fall in trade deficit is the merchandise imports and merchandise exports. So, India's trade deficit plummeted by more than 61% in November to 6.6 billion due to a strong growth in merchandise exports and a fall in merchandise import. The total exports mean exports of goods and services. Okay, grew by 15.5% to 74 billion, while the total imports slid 0.6% to 80 billion. So, the difference 6.6 billion is the trade deficit. Okay. Now, why this increase in total exports and why this fall in total imports? The main component of this is merchandise export. So, total exports include exports of goods and exports of services. Okay. Now, exports of goods, merchandise exports increased by 19.4% and it contribute to total export increase to 15.5%. And the merchandise imports fell by, so the merchandise import fell by 1.9% majorly due to fall in gold imports, because Diwali is gone, so gold imports will fall post Diwali. So, the merchandise imports have fallen by 1.9% and this has contributed to total imports sliding 0.6%. So, the main contribution, the good point or the highlighting point about this whole progress is the main component or the driving component has been export of goods, not services. India has always been a service driven country or a strong service exporting country. But if your merchandise export sees an increase, then it's a sign of a strong exporting economy. Okay? Now, the prelims part, the major prelims part in this section is about this balance of payment. Balance of payment consists of two accounts. One is current account, another one is capital account. As the name suggests, current account includes two components. One is merchandise, one is invisible. Now, to remember this, invisible is something you cannot see. Merchandise is something you can touch, see, tangible. So, merchandise exports and imports are imports and export of goods. This is the component we were talking about in the last slide, that this has increased by some 19.4%, export has increased by 90.4%. Now, the invisible includes services trade, that is banking facility, IT facility, telecom facilities we provide. So, the export and import of services. The factor income. What is factor income? Income by the factors of production of economy, that is employee income, okay, entrepreneurial income, income from land and investments, okay. So, this includes employee compensation. If some employee is earning from a foreign body or a foreign corporate, then it's his compensation in India will be factor income of BOP. Then investment income. If we have invested in a land in the US and we earn some interest out of that land, or rent out of that land, or we have invested in some stocks in NASDAQ, the profit and interest, or we have given loan to some body corporate in US, the interest we earn is the factor income. And third is gift, grants and remittances. The gifts we get from outside Indian borders, the grants we get from foreign bodies or foreign states, and the remittances. India is one of the largest remittance country in the world, and the remittances we get from NRIs on foreign citizens is part of transfer. Why this is transfer? This is transfer income. There is no quid pro quo in this. There is no giving back. The transfer is one-way payment. Okay. This is factor income. This is services. Okay. And the capital account includes the capital creating components, that is loan, ECB loans, rupee loans, all these loans are a part of capital account. Foreign investment, foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, this all is a part of capital account. Along with that, the NRI, banking capital, whatever income or whatever savings have been deposited by foreign citizens and NRI into Indian banks is also a part of capital account. Why this is capital account? This all things create a liability. Banking capital is liability, loan is liability, FTI, FPI carve profit out of our income. So, these are all some kinds of liabilities. So, capital account and current account is this. Okay. Now, these are the components of BOP. Now, usually current account is deficit in India and capital account is surplus in India. Okay. So, the difference of this capital account and current account minus the errors and omissions, the transactions which we are not able to record correctly, the difference between surplus and deficit, removing the errors and omissions, is managed as foreign exchange reserves in RBI. So, this is balanced by the forex reserves of RBI. Okay. So, this difference is managed by forex reserve of RBI. We have always had a current account deficit and a capital account surplus, except in financial year 2020-21, as far as I remember, because of COVID and low imports, there we achieved a current account surplus. This is one point which might be asked somewhere in your prelims question. Okay. Now, we are celebrating our increase in exports and reduction in current account deficit and trade account deficit. Okay. What are the risks associated with high current account deficit? Okay. High chances of currency depreciation. As we can see, if there is a current account deficit, then our imports are way more than our exports. Okay. So, to import we need more foreign currencies, and since the demand of foreign currency increases, our INR will fall. Okay. Second is BOP crisis, as seen in many countries across the world, that we are unable to service whatever imports we are doing. We are unable to fulfill our import obligations because we do not generate enough money or enough. So, this leads to a BOP crisis, inflation in long run. If you see, India imports oil, petroleum, natural gas almost to the extent of 70 to 75%. Okay. So, if this import is increasing and there is a high current account deficit, then the prices of these, since imports will become, the currency will depreciate, the imports will become more expensive. So, the inflation, there is a chances of inflation creeping into our own domestic economy. Last point, capital flight as confidence erodes. So, FDI and FPI invest in a country on the confidence that this sovereign country, this sovereign government is capable of fulfilling its own obligations, and since the CAD is low or CAD is achievable, there is a certain amount of confidence in that sovereign country or in the sovereign government. So, this directly impacts the inflow of FDI and FPI. Okay. So, if our current account deficit is very high, people will think that there might be a condition where we might fall into a BOP crisis. So, FDI and FPI will start moving to countries which are safer in this extent. Since they will start moving away, our capital account will also start falling, plummeting. Okay. So, there is a high chance of capital flight as the investor confidence plummets in a particular government. With this, we have discussed all the important topics of today's DNA. Okay. See you in the next video. Thank you.